Hello, and welcome back to the Faith and Culture Commentary Series. I'm Kathryn Camp. Today, I would like to just touch on the topic of our First Amendment. We are hearing a lot about that in the Senate right now through some hearings that have been going on. You might not have seen it on the mainstream media, but if you watch C-SPAN and pay attention to what is going on behind the scenes, you will see it is a pretty heated debate. And if you look overseas to the UK, you can see the problem, the serious issues that can arise from speech that is censored, no matter what kind of speech it is. I think as individuals, we need to understand we need debate. And that means in order to debate, you have to have two sides. And otherwise, you have absolutely no way of weighing the good, the bad, and the ugly, or the truth versus what the government narrative is and what they want to force you to believe, which is what it's like at the CCP and what it was like in Germany during World War II and leading up to it. They had censored free speech. They started ramping up a government narrative, and people believed it. So that's how people can commit incredible atrocities. So I'd like to just go through the First Amendment of our United States Constitution and look at it with a biblical worldview. So a lot of people don't want to pay any attention. Many Christians want to have their head in the sand. And I'm telling you, that is a very dangerous place to be. We are called to pay attention to what is going on around us. We cannot be accused of sitting in our little huddles and being comfortable with it, because guess what? It won't take long before we lose those freedom of speech, wonderful liberties. And guess who they will be coming for? Look what is happening in the UK. They are trying to pass a law that no one is allowed to pray for anyone or read the Bible in public, or also no evangelists on the streets, even if people invited that person to talk about God and Jesus in the streets. So that would be coming here. Pay attention, Christian. This is so important. That's why Christians should care about the U.S. Constitution and the First Amendment. So, what does the First Amendment say? It says, I quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances." In other words, people should not be afraid of their government. After all, in our country, they work for us. That's what our tax dollars go to, not for them to bully us. God gives his creation full freedom. Freedom to choose how to live and how not to live. Freedom to speak and not to speak. Freedom to love and choose not to love. He will never force anyone. Without the freedom to express ourselves, we are essentially slaves, and our uniqueness is taken away from us. The beauty of freedom of expression is that it allows for an individual to have their own unique thoughts and ideas. It allows for exploration of new ideas and new discoveries. It is the basis for learning and developing patience with others who may not think the same way that we do. Freedom of thought to express ourselves allows for collaboration and growth. We are told in Scripture that each one of us was fearfully and wonderfully made. In Psalm 139, we read, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. You see, even at the cellular level, we are unique. It is well known that identical twins are different, with slight variations in their DNA. There is no one else like you, and there's no one else like me, and this delights the Creator. The freedom to share ideas is how we learn. Some ideas are not based on reality or facts, and they will inevitably and eventually fail. We cannot have knowledge without testing out the world around us. Testing out different conclusions requires research and the gathering of factual evidence, not hearsay. That is how science is supposed to come to conclusions. There will always be fallacious information presented, especially when people want to mislead others. However, information based on false data will fail when tested. Unfortunately, in the recent years, since 2020, many of us discovered that we cannot trust the research journals from the medical field because most of the once prestigious organizations where information was vetted were all compromised. A recent interview with the brilliant Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong about cancer cover-ups has further revealed the untrustworthiness of the once top prestigious scientific medical journals that have been compromised with grants from pharmaceutical and other organizations who want to benefit greatly by skewed outcomes. Many other science-based journals have been compromised as well, such as the data that NOAA has distributed. The love of money truly is the root of much evil. Not money, but the love of money. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. For many years, we have had a government that has made various attempts to control our speech and eventually control our thoughts. Many people began to experience this since 2008, and probably earlier, when they were silenced through intimidation tactics. Others began to realize censorship when the internet began to explode onto the scene with alternative media. Still, others woke up to this realization in 2020, when those who tried to reveal election anomalies were silenced and threatened and censored and had their accounts frozen. Not only bank accounts, of course, but many of their social media accounts were taken down. And for those who had positions of power at one time, who worked hard to get where they were slandered by Wikipedia. You see, all of these people are working for the same globalists. So it's not hard to figure out. Someone is pulling the strings. And they are trying to control our country and those who seek freedom and to maintain our liberties. In the same year of 2020, thousands of medical professionals who were trying to share their firsthand medical knowledge about how to save and care for patients who contracted the weaponized flu were not only censored, but also threatened to lose their licenses if they did not keep quiet and comply. You see, that practice had been going on long beforehand. I found that out when I started to learn about what is known as Lyme disease. Doctors who were brave enough to step out of the medical industrial complex boundaries and wanted to save patients and not just watch them die and keep them limping along. If this silencing and censorship is allowed to continue, No one will be allowed to question the prevailing narrative of those in power. If we, as a people, allow for Marxism to make further inroads through propaganda media and control over alternative media information. The process of regulating speech will hinder any education whatsoever. Science will come to a halt. Imagine not being able to challenge the theory of evolution. Imagine not being able to challenge the position and shape of the earth. Imagine working in a lab and not being able to challenge bad and harmful science findings. Imagine not being able to challenge what gender your child is based on their genetics. Imagine not being able to challenge the reality of God or his son Jesus. Imagine not being able to share the gospel. Imagine not being able to read a Bible because it will put ideas in your head that do not agree with the government's idea of right and wrong. This is humanity's way of oppressing those who do not agree. Not even God does that to his creation. Why should we want to be taken away from the freedoms that are given to us by our Creator? This is a choice that we need to make. It is time to take a stand and speak up and take back ground for our God-given freedoms and liberties. Make sure that your choice of elected officials are for the full and unadulterated First Amendment as written based on our God-given rights to think and speak up. I'm Kathryn Camp, and I hope that you will join me next time for my commentary series. And if you like what you see, please consider subscribing to my Substack and my Rumble channel or YouTube channel, wherever you like to watch your shows, or Clout Hub. Thank you.